2021 was an absolutely fantastic year for anime fans, and it's also the year where I watched the most anime. I usually spend my time playing games like Overwatch and Valorant, and recently League of Legends, but I've honestly grown so tired of playing these games over and over again that I picked up anime as a pastime since it doesn't make me wanna. I honestly think that I've more than doubled the amount of anime I've consumed in my entire life in just this year alone. And today I want to go over the top 10 2021 releases that I fully watched and enjoyed, ranked from my least to most favorite. It really just happened that I only watched 10 2021 releases. One Direct Priority was a show that I was absolutely floored by when I started it. I immediately fell in love with the series and how it dealt with depression, suicide, and confronting traumatic experiences. The characters literally battled their anxieties, physical manifestation in a dreamlike world, and it was quirky and weird. But best of all, it sought to empower people who have gone through some serious shit in their lives. Each character brought their own unique energy to the cast, and their chemistry with each other was enjoyable to watch. On top of this, there were also so many mysteries and questions about the world and the Wonder Eggs that kept me watching. But if you watched Wonder Egg, then you'll know that none of these questions really got solved. There is a lot of complex symbolism and deep underlying themes that do add to the series as a whole, but there's also a load of bullshit ambiguity that gets dumped to the audience, which forces you to make your own conclusions and theories. Open-endedness can be good, but it just feels like the writers couldn't come up with anything fruitful. Overall, I felt that One Direct Priority could have been a modern masterpiece, but fell short due to its lack of exposition and very short runtime, especially with one of its episodes being a full recap. It was beautiful, but it could have been more than that. Unlike the deep and meaningful complex show that was One Direct Priority, Don't Toy With Me Nagatoro hooked me in with its absolute degeneracy, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. All jokes aside for a moment, I was going through some of the worst shit I've been through in my entire life, and having a show like Nagatoro took my mind away from things. I watched it as it aired, and it really just gave me something to look forward to every week, and gave me the much needed serotonin I was lacking at the time. The entire show is Nagatoro being an annoying piece of shit to her senpai, who doesn't entirely dislike it because he's a fucking loser. But what made the show worth watching to me was the extremely wholesome moments where Nagatoro breaks her obnoxious character and we get to see her be genuine for once, and see these surprisingly endearing moments with her senpai. These moments are very far few and in between, but it actually held the show up. There isn't much else to say about the show, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and each episode never failed to leave a smile on my face and a stiffy in my pants. The next series may not have warmed my bone, but it warmed my heart. Comey Can't Communicate is about a girl named Comey. Due to her overwhelming social anxiety, she's unable to talk to other people. However, just because Comey can't speak, it doesn't mean that she doesn't want to. And despite her beauty, she fails to make friends time and time again. That is until our boy Taruno sees through her anxiety. Their friendship starts through this absolutely beautiful chalkboard scene, and Taruno finds out that Comey's ultimate goal is to have 100 friends. It's stupid, yeah, but it actually kind of makes sense considering that Comey has never had a friend before. With this, Taruno is determined to make Comey's dream come true. The series just gives good vibes overall, and the opening is an unlimited serotonin glitch. But as much as I hate to admit it, despite how hyped I was for this show and how happy I was when I watched its pilot, I have a few gripes with Comey Can't Communicate. The pilot was so incredibly well directed and produced. It was dynamic, punchy, and fantastically animated, rivaling that of Kyoto Animations and their slice of life anime. But it kind of ends there. Don't get me wrong, the production of the series is good, but none of the episodes match that of the first. The other issue I have is that I wish it was just a bit more dramatic. I didn't know that the show was a pure comedy and a slice of life, and I thought that it dived just a little bit more into Comey's character and the problems of having social anxiety, aside from not being able to speak and not being able to order Starbucks. But the series itself just isn't like that. I can't really knock the series for not being an entirely different genre, but I really hope that this was going to be more of a high school drama with comedic aspects to it, rather than a full-on comedy. The good thing though is that the series doesn't disrespect Comey's social anxiety or Comey herself, but the show also doesn't take steps to develop any of its characters. I did enjoy the show a lot, but I wish it just dove just a little bit deeper into its characters and had some more serious and meaningful moments. Another show that I was extremely hyped for but absolutely nailed it and did not disappoint was Attack on Titan Season 4. I don't think anybody would have expected Attack on Titan to be as incredible as it is now when it first dropped its season over 8 years ago. Attack on Titan is one of those shows that literally only has upswings. Some may argue that season 2 was boring, but I enjoyed it just as much as every other season. And even if you didn't enjoy season 2, you cannot deny that it walked so season 3 could run. Anyways, I digress. Season 4 of Attack on Titan took such a different turn that I don't think anybody, aside from the manga readers, expected. But it's a perfect continuation of the story as a whole. Season 4 of Attack on Titan showed us how hate spawns hate in a never-ending painful cycle and questions the morality of our beloved characters. Eren's change in character is absolutely genius, and how Gabby is a direct foil to Eren, being just like his younger self. It is brilliant how the story unfolds as each episode gets closer and closer to its conclusion. There were so many moments that invoked all kinds of emotion within me, from hype to disgust and depression. All of it was executed so incredibly well, and I can't wait to see how this decade-long series comes to an end. There were a lot of isekais that released this year to varying levels of quality, but that genre isn't really my thing. But there is one show that I've watched this year that is an isekai. And that is ReZero Season 2 Part 2. Yep, ReZero is still in fact an isekai. Much like Attack on Titan Season 4, ReZero Season 2 Part 2 is just a perfect continuation of its story and makes the bold decision to throw out its core storytelling tool, Return by Death, and has our main character Subaru pushed to his absolute limit in trying to solve a seemingly impossible problem in the Sanctuary arc. Seeing Subaru finally take some W's is so rewarding to watch, considering how far he's come since the first season. ReZero Season 2 Part 2 directly picks up where Season 2 left off, where we see Subaru take on one of the most terrifying antagonists in the series yet in his attempt to save both the Sanctuary and the mansion. The season is extremely dialogue heavy, but in return, it develops its extremely diverse cast of characters, including the worst girl in the entire show. A surprising amount of characters get their own spotlight, and there's so many plot revelations that propel the overarching conflict at hand. There's not a lot that can be said about the brilliance of how the story unfolds without spoiling it, but I will say this is a great ending for ReZero's second season. If you like ReZero, you may also like the next series on the list, Vivi, Fluorite Eye's Song. Sharing the same creator as ReZero and produced by the same animation studio that made Attack on Titan's first 3 seasons, Vivi Fluorite Eye's Song seems like it would have been a massive show, but was unfortunately overshadowed by shows like My Hero Academia Season 5, Tokyo Revengers, To Your Eternity, Nagatoro, and 86. I actually made an entire video on Vivi Fluorite Eye's Songs, which wasn't very good in hindsight, but it holds a special place in my heart. But I'll give you the rundown. The show follows Diva, an artificial intelligence idol singer whose goal is to make everybody happy with their singing. As she's trying to make it big in the industry, she meets Matsumoto, another AI who is from the future. Matsumoto explains to Diva that she was chosen to save the world from an android apocalypse that will occur 100 years into the future. Together, they try to alter major events that they believe contributed to the apocalypse. There's so much passion that went into the show, and I'm glad that I'm one of the few people who watched it as it aired. The aesthetic, the action, the story, and the characters of the show are all amazing. Vivi was an awesome roller coaster and a wild ride. I cannot recommend this anime enough if you're looking for an amazing action drama that's tightly packed in just 13 episodes. Also, the opening is such a banger that it was my second most listened to song in 2021. Attack on Titan Season 4, ReZero Season 2 Part 2, and Vivi are all action dramas, which tend to be my favorite genre. But for me, ranked higher than those 3 powerhouse shows is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2. If you don't know what Dragon Maid is, it's about Miss Kobayashi, your average Japanese salary worker, and her dragon friends, and also her normal human friends. It's another comedy slice of life, but what sets this apart from Comey Can't Communicate and Nagatoro is that literally every episode makes me feel so damn happy and none of the episodes miss. It's such an endearing, wholesome, and heartwarming show that presents the audience with the happiness that's gained from family and friends. I absolutely adored this series, but what puts this above the previous shows is my love for Kyoto Animations, the animation studio behind this series. I love Kyoto Animations, from their work down to their business practices. They are one of the only studios that don't have slave-like conditions for their animators and that actually pay their workers salaries. And if you know Kyoto Animations, then you'll know where I'm about to go with this. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2 is the first anime that the studio released ever since its arson attack that happened just over 2 years ago. It is considered the worst massacre in Japan since Hiroshima. That day, 36 lives were taken and another 34 were injured from the attack. And at the time, it was unclear what would happen to Kyoto Animations. This studio has affected millions of lives with their works such as K-On!, Nichijo, Dragon Maid, and my favorite anime series of all time, Violet Evergarden. as well as my favorite anime film of all time, A Silent Voice. It is incredibly disheartening to know that so many people that put their lives' work and dedication to the art they've produced are no longer with us. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2 is more than just an anime that was released this year. It's a statement to the world that Kyoto Animations is back, still as strong as ever, changing lives just as they have done before. Alright, we are now down to my top 3 anime releases of 2021. These are the anime that have stood out to me the most this year, and just a reminder, I haven't watched every release, so these are my top 3, not my anime list's top 3. Anyways, let's just get into it. Ranking of Kings ranks 3rd amongst my favorite anime of this year, and like Vivi Florida Ice Song, this is sadly not in the public eye due to its non-mainstream art style, and it remains a fantastic hidden gem of 2021. This show is still airing, so who knows, it might rank even higher than number 2 or number 1, depending on its ending. But as it stands, Ranking of Kings is an underdog show that tells an underdog story. Ranking of Kings tells the story of Boji, a deaf-mute prince who yearns to be the greatest king just like his high-ranking father, King Boss. He is against all odds. He was born with disabilities and lacks strength in a world where characteristics like brute force and strength are favored. He has to compete against his brother Daida, who people deem to be more fit to be king. Boji gets clowned on by citizens of his own kingdom for not being able to hear or speak, despite him being able to read lips. Boji separates himself from other protagonists by having real weaknesses that people can actually relate to. As Akizura mentions in his Ranking of Kings video, you can easily empathize with Boji's weaknesses because they are very human-like. Unlike, say, Deku from My Hero, whose only weakness is him being born without a quirk superpower. But Ranking of Kings is more than an underdog story. Its characters are what carried the show to the next level. Every character has more than what meets the eye when it comes to their ulterior motives and exactly which prince they support. There's a conspiracy behind the scenes in the kingdom that is brewing, and as Boji continues to train harder and harder, the rabbit hole continues to go deeper and deeper. People may not like Ranking of Kings art style, but none can deny Wit Studios' breathtaking animation. When shit gets real, shit gets real. Ranking of Kings isn't exactly an action series, but when action happens, it happens. Wit Studio is absolutely killing it with these action sequences, and not only that, the scenes where people are communicating to Boji in sign language are so damn fluid and adds just that extra bit of goodness that the show already has. From the mysteries that lie within the walls of its kingdom to Boji's undying resolve and determination, Ranking of Kings is truly one of the most unique shows in more ways than its art style. Link Click is another show that seriously flew under the radar. It's a Chinese production anime, or donghua, and has the best pilot episode out of all the anime in this video. Link Click follows Lu Guang and Cheng Xiaoxi, who run a small photography shop. But on the side, clients who know of their powers bring their own photographs for them to use in various ways. You see, Lu Guang has the ability to look into any photograph and can foresee everything that happens 12 hours after the photo has been taken. And Cheng Xiaoxi has the ability to go back in time to when the photo was taken and possess the person who took the photo for 12 hours. While he's in the photographer's body, he gains the person's emotions and memories, which allows him to relive those 12 hours back in time with guidance from Lu Guang in order not to alter the current timeline. Together, Lu Guang and Cheng Xiaoxi can use their abilities to do anything from gaining information to expose corporate corruption, to resolving unsolved human trafficking cases, to something as mundane as saying something for the client that they regretted not being able to say in the past. As interesting and unique of stories that elements like time travel can add to a story, it can also completely shatter the believability of a show if it's not explained well enough or presents major plot holes in its story. But Link Click does a great job in explaining the rules of its time travel and directly addresses possible plot points when the duo uses their abilities in a way that's never been done before. The first rule is that you only get 12 hours in the photo. The second rule is that Cheng Xiaoxi has to follow Lu Guang's lead to make no mistakes. And the third rule is that no matter what happens, you cannot alter the timeline. Time travel stories have been done before many times, but what makes Link Click stand out from the rest is the stories that are told through the duo's abilities. Specifically Chang's ability to temporarily live other people's lives. The first episode alone showcases exactly how powerful of a tool that their abilities are when it comes to telling a story. We as the audience get to live the lives of other people through Chang's powers. It has the ability to tell the story of a woman who has to deal with so much bullshit in the corporate world, to the story of two friends who fell out. There's a lot I have to say about Link Click, and I'll save that for its own separate video, but for now I'll just leave it with this. The possibilities of Link Click's storytelling device are limitless, and the show utilizes this tool to its utmost limit and keeps each arc refreshing. By the time you hear the ending song and the credits roll, you'll find yourself in the next episode. But don't you fucking dare skip that opening song. At number 1 for my favorite anime release of 2021 is the Violet's Evergarden movie. Yes, I know this came out in 2020, but it officially released in October of this year, which I have been patiently waiting for ever since the movie was announced. What can I even say about this movie? How do you even begin to talk about something you love so much? I've already mentioned that Violet Evergarden is my favorite anime of all time, and the studio behind it is one that I hold close to my heart. The Violet Evergarden movie is a direct sequel to its 13-episode series that aired in 2018. Violet Evergarden follows the story of Violet, an orphan child soldier. Growing up, she was used by everyone around her as a means to destroy the enemy and was viewed purely as a tool. The only person to ever treat Violet like a human being was her major. For her entire life, Violet lived solely through her major's orders, and she continued to until his brutal death, where she loses both of her arms in an attempt to save his life. The Major's last orders to Violet were to live on, and his last words to her were, "I love you." The series takes place after the war ends, following Violet on her journey to integrate herself into society and to find purpose in her life after the war had ended, and find the meaning behind the words, "I love you." Violet eventually decides to become a ghostwriter, to help other people convey their feelings to their loved ones through written letters. As each episode continues, Violet improves her craft and in return gains back some of her own humanity in the process. However, as she continues to work, the cracks in her begin to show, and she must come to terms with the many internal conflicts that are burning her alive. Violet Evergarden isn't just my favorite anime of all time, it's my favorite piece of fiction of all time. And the Violet Evergarden movie was such an emotional rollercoaster for me. It reminded me of just how much I love this series as a whole. It was the perfect send-off to my favorite story. It had me in tears, and I was basically crying the entire runtime just thinking about all the callbacks the movie makes to the series and just showing how far our beloved Violet has come as a person. I really can't express just how much this series means to me in words. The story that has moved me so incredibly emotionally has come to an end, and I cannot be any more happy and grateful for Violet Evergarden, Kyoto Animation, and Kana Akatsuki, the creator of Violet Evergarden. There are just so many emotions that I've experienced through this anime that no other story nor medium could ever come close to achieving. If you aren't into emotionally heavy dramas, then you may not like the series, but it means the absolute world to me, and with the movie being the perfect close to the story as a whole, it takes the top spot for my favorite anime of 2021. Hey, thanks for watching until the end of the video. It means a lot to me that you take the time out of your day to hear me ramble about my favorite anime. Let me know what you think of my picks for 2021 and maybe share some of your favorite anime from this year in the comment section down below. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed my content, and before I end the video, I want to give one big thanks to Kevin Yao, who is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to making this kind of content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the new year.